When I walked across that stage, with my graduation cap securely bobby-pinned to my hair and my diploma finally in hand, I was supposed to feel elated. This was supposed to be my moment, the culmination of years of late-night study sessions and grueling exams. But that sense of triumph had been ripped from me before it could even take hold. Why? Because the people I thought I could trust the most, my own family, turned what should have been a joyous celebration into a spectacle of drama and betrayal. My name is Emily Carter. I come from a family that, outwardly, appears perfect. My mom, Linda, is the glue that holds us all together, a classic homemaker turned real estate agent when my siblings and I were old enough to fend for ourselves. Dad, John, is an engineer, whose stoic demeanor is only broken when he's watching football. Then there's my older brother, Matt, who's always been the golden child. And me? I was the diligent student, the one who keeps her head down to make everyone proud. For months leading up to my graduation, my family was my rock. They seemed genuinely excited, offering to help plan a small gathering at our home to celebrate my accomplishments, a feat that was especially meaningful since I was the first woman in our family to earn a degree. I felt surrounded by love and support, and I was confident that the big day would go off without a hitch. But the first signs of trouble came quietly, creeping in like a shadow you only notice when it's too late. It started with small things, like my mom being unusually evasive whenever I asked her about the guest list for the party. "Just some family and a few of your friends," she'd say, avoiding my eyes. And Matt, who was normally supportive, began making odd comments about how I was finally catching up to him, as if graduation was some sort of competition. His words were coated with a sweet veneer but tasted bitter underneath. As the day loomed closer, my unease grew. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. On the eve of my graduation, I overheard my parents whispering in the kitchen. "We've got to tell her," my dad said, his voice low and urgent. "It's only right." But when I confronted them, they brushed it off, claiming it was about a surprise they were planning for the party. I wanted to believe them. The day of my graduation arrived, and as I walked across that stage, I tried to shove my worries aside. My family cheered me on from the stands, their faces beaming with pride, or so I thought. The ceremony concluded, and we headed back home for the party that was supposed to be a celebration. Yet, as soon as we walked through the front door, the atmosphere shifted from one of joy to one of palpable tension. The truth hit me during the toast. My dad clinked his glass, drawing everyone's attention, and began speaking. "Let's raise a glass to Emily, who's achieved something truly remarkable," he started, and I let myself smile, feeling the warmth of the moment. But then he continued, "And to Matt, who's just announced he's getting a promotion. We couldn't be prouder." I stood there, blinking, as the words settled over me like a cold fog. My moment was hijacked. I glanced at Matt, who wore a smug expression that made my stomach twist. Everyone started clapping for his promotion, a decision that had been made behind closed doors and unveiled at the worst possible time. It was a double blow, not just because my accomplishment had been overshadowed, but because they'd kept this from me, knowing full well how important this day was. As the night continued, it got worse. Matt's promotion became the main topic of conversation, shifting the spotlight entirely away from my graduation. My aunts and uncles lavished praise on him, while my achievement was relegated to a mere footnote. I felt invisible, standing there in my own home, my heart breaking with each congratulations that wasn't directed at me. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying the events over and over in my mind. It felt like a betrayal, not just from Matt, but from my parents who had allowed it to happen. I realized that this wasn't just a one-time oversight, it was a pattern. Growing up, Matt had always been the star, and my accomplishments often felt like afterthoughts, overshadowed by his successes. This incident was just the most glaring example yet. After days of feeling like a shell of myself, I had a revelation. This didn't have to be the narrative of my life. I was not going to let them keep writing my story with their pens. It was time to take back what was mine, to ensure I had my moment and then some. I decided, then and there, to fight back, not through confrontation, but through excellence and exposure. I crafted a plan that would be as elegant as it was effective. It was all about transparency and visibility, shining a light on my achievements in a way that couldn't be ignored. I began by updating my social media profiles, sharing photos of my graduation with heartfelt posts about what it meant to me, amplifying the pride I felt. I tagged my university, my professors, and organizations I had been part of, ensuring a wide network saw the posts. The engagement was electric, with comments from professors, classmates, and even a few influential alumni who reshared my story. Next, I contacted a local community newsletter that often spotlighted local achievements. I penned an article about my journey through university as a first-generation college graduate and the challenges I overcame. The story was picked up and published, garnering attention from people across the town. The piece was shared online, adding fuel to the fire of recognition I was building. The final piece of the puzzle was the one that turned the tide completely. I reached out to an organization I had interned for during my studies, asking if they had any opportunities for recent graduates. Not only did they have a position open, but they were thrilled at the prospect of hiring someone familiar with their operations. Within 2 weeks, I had a job offer in hand, one that not only matched the prestige of Matt's promotion but one-upped it, given the organization's influence in our community. With everything in place, I invited my family over for dinner, under the guise of a thank you for all their support during my studies. They arrived, perhaps expecting another underwhelming evening in comparison to Matt's celebratory announcements. I could see the dismissive expectation in their eyes. But as we sat down, I began to unveil each part of my journey over the past few weeks. I started with the social media buzz, showing them the overwhelming support and recognition I had received. Then, I handed them a copy of the community newsletter, watching as their eyes widened in astonishment, especially my mother's, who had always been a subscriber. Finally, with a calm smile, I revealed the job offer. The room was silent, every face frozen in a mix of surprise and realization. The climax was sweet and undeniable. Matt, who had been the center of attention for so long, was left speechless. I could see it dawn on him, the realization that he wasn't the only one capable of extraordinary things. My parents, too, had to confront the truth they'd ignored for so long. This was my moment, and it was brighter and more profound because I'd carved it out myself. In the aftermath, the dynamics shifted. My family began to see me in a new light, not just as Matt's sister, but as Emily, someone whose achievements were significant and deserving of recognition. I felt the change in our interactions, the newfound respect that colored their words and actions. It was as if they finally saw me, the real me. As for me, the experience sparked an unshakable confidence. I had turned a moment of heartbreak into an opportunity and emerged stronger for it. I moved forward, embracing the new chapter of my life with a sense of freedom I hadn't felt before. My job was fulfilling, my network expanded, and for the first time I felt genuinely proud of myself, knowing I had earned every bit of it. In those reflective moments, I realized that strength isn't just about enduring, but about thriving despite the odds. I learned that I didn't need to shout to be heard, but rather, to wield my voice with purpose. It was a lesson in self-worth and resilience, one I carry with me in every endeavor. I never looked back. My life is better now than it ever was with them in it.